It was foggy, very foggy. What I was a little surprised to hear that it was actually a helicopter flying. It's the kind of conditions that usually aircraft like that would be grounded. So I'm a little surprised. I was actually at a friend of mine's house in Palos Verdes last night. It lives up high enough where you were actually looking down at the marine layer, almost like you were flying. And I'm sure it was that way overnight. And I was just a little surprising. Apparently they were flying from his home down on the Newport Beach coast and flying up to, I think, Thousand Oaks to his basketball academy. That's what I was hearing.
Right. Yeah, that's what we've been reporting.
So it's a little surprising that they would fly in those conditions.
And he was no stranger to a helicopter at all.
Oh, he used it all the time. Right.
He used it all the time. He would literally fly to home games.
Right.
I mean, because he was with the money he made from the Lakers and endorsements. I mean, he was wealthy enough where he could literally fly a helicopter back and forth between Orange County and the Staples.
And I know you still have to, give your flight plan. You need to make sure that people know that you're in the air. Like, you just don't take off in your helicopter. So they must have had to get some sort of clearance, I believe. I mean, it'll be interesting for us to hear from other pilots. What are the boundaries that these private helicopters have in terms of when they can fly and what the conditions they can fly in?
Yeah, he used that Sikorsky, though, like one of us would use an SUV or a minivan or something, just moving around town with the kids and doing whatever he had to do. And probably this morning when they got up and the fog was there, it may not have been given a second thought, maybe other than the pilot. Everybody else, this was just the way they traveled. Yeah. Let's get in and let's go to practice. And then suddenly it ends up this way.
Rick, your perspective now that you're joining us here, when you first heard, you've covered...
Well, when I first heard, I mean, I was shocked right along with everybody else. At first, I thought I had heard that he died in a crash. I thought it was a car crash at first. I was unaware that it was the helicopter that we were looking at on the news. When I came to LA back in '92, Gretzky was the big star, and everybody, I'm a big hockey guy, and so everybody was focused on that. And not until the late '90s when this young kid shows up in a Laker uniform, 18 years old, and then he's got Shaq right behind him coming in the same year. Suddenly the focus, I'm sure, of all Laker fans, but even mine, and not being a huge NBA or basketball fan, I had so much fun watching the two of them play for so much, and then to find out that he's this family man. And all of us up here on the set, I think, for the most part, have kids, and to think of losing a 13-year-old daughter just kills me.
Well, the fact that his wife is now one of the survivors, along with the baby they just had as well.
The other babies, yeah.
They have Natalia, who's the oldest. I believe she's 17, Bianca, and their baby girl, Capri, who was born in June of last year.
Yeah, thoughts, prayers got to go out to the rest of the Bryan family. They're going to have a huge struggle on their hands, and trying to come to grips with this is going to take years.
I mean, you just look at these pictures that you're seeing on the right hand of your screen, and we've seen this family grow together. We've seen him grow up. The closest, the bond, you can just, it's so apparent. So apparent.
Well, as Darren was mentioning before, I mean, it was all about the family. Mm-hmm. Basketball was the way he generated income, but all of his thoughts were on his wife and kids.
Well, just a prime example, what he was doing today. I mean, they were flying up to his mom's basketball academy, for his daughter, to improve her game, and he was really into coaching her big time. So.
Well, you could tell when they're sitting on the sidelines and he's instructing her about what's going on in front of her, and she's acknowledging, yes, that's the way I'm seeing it, that's the way I understand it. They had such an amazing chemistry between them, and we're talking about Gigi at this point because we've seen her a number of times on the sidelines. That picture right there, another one, I mean, you could just tell just how much he cared about where these kids were headed.
And for all of us who've had teenagers, I have one. They don't always listen to you. They don't, really want to know what you have to say, but she did. We just want to let you guys know that we understand that this news conference at the crash site is supposed to start in the next maybe minute and a half, 2 minutes. So as soon as the officials get up to the podium, we, of course, will break away and bring you that live. But as we continue to look at this debris field and the crash site, we saw the smoke, and it smoldered for so long. I was surprised for the amount of firefighters that were on scene and first responders. I was really shocked that it was still smoldering hours later. And now